Hello, Western Yearly Meeting. We are here with another episode of Knowing People at Western Yearly Meeting, and we are here with.
Ben Snyder.
What is your full name, Ben?
It's Benjamin Keith Snyder. So
Is there like a story or something around that name?
no, not
No,
really. My
just.
my dad's name is Keith, and that's how I got that middle name. So yep.
Okay. So you're a pastor of Carmel
Mhm.
Friends Church. When did you get that calling? I mean, how can you tell us about your spiritual journey around being called to be a pastor?
Okay. Well, I grew up among friends. Attended Bear Creek Friends Church when I was younger, and I studied education in my undergrad, but always knew that I wanted to preach. I filled pulpit quite a bit. My first pastorate, I actually filled pulpit at Dayspring Friends Church near Muncie, Indiana, when I was in college. I just kind of preached on Sundays and helped out there. So when I was about 30, I had an opportunity to go into kind of full time pastoral ministry. And so I've been doing that since 2012. And most recently, I'm at Carmel. Carmel hired me on in 2020. I was finishing up some work at Barclay College and a part time job at Friends United Meeting. I was looking for something full time in ministry. And yeah, so I've been there for about 5 years. Yep.
I understand that you resonate much with Christianity and you believe that Quakerism and Christianity is basically very much intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you tell us about how did you become a Christian or a Quaker?
Well, we're actually recording this here at Quaker Haven Camp, and it was here at Quaker Haven Camp. A member of my family, a pastor named Paul Snyder, he was a Quaker pastor. He's actually my dad's first cousin, and he was speaking up here, and they did an altar call. I think I was about 12, and I came up, and he prayed with me, and yeah, so that's when I first gave my heart to Jesus. It took a few more years for it to stick, for it to really sink in. But early in my high school years, I acknowledged that, God's more powerful than I am. He's smarter than I am. He loves me and wants good things for me. So that's kind of how I got started in Christianity. And of course, growing up in Quaker churches, I find a lot of value in how Quakers approach Christ. How we work together to try to discern what God's will might be. We look at Scripture together to try to study and understand. How did Christ direct His disciples? How is He directing us today through the power of the Holy Spirit? And I love the communal nature of our church, so that we can work on this together and try to figure it out together.
Where do you find joy?
Um, just being honestly around other friends brings me a lot of joy. Little F friends, personal friends, but also big F friends. Being able to talk about like just even some of the things we're talking about makes me really happy to know that I'm not the only one trying to figure out some of these things. What God wants for me to do in my life, or wants us to do in our life. It's good to know that other people are on the same journey. Sometimes right next to you, sometimes on their own personal journeys, but we're all hopefully heading to the same destination.
Can you tell me about a high point in your life? If you were to choose to relive an experience of your past life, which one would it be?
Oh well, it was a real challenging time, but probably when my daughter was born, like just the days around that. Um, it was a big deal to be there for my wife, by her side. She did most of the heavy lifting, for that experience, but especially the first few days, just taking care of my little one and raising her up. I know that's probably not what most people would say. Oh yeah, that sounds like a great time. When going through labor and having to change poopy diapers and
Mhm.
and things like that. But those were good days. They were hard days, but they were really good days.
Good. So you mentioned that. Well, you mentioned your wife. You mentioned your kids. So when did you get married?
Oh goodness, like my wife might watch this. She might. uh, let's see. 2006, April 24th. No, that's her birthday. That's, July 22nd, 2006 is when we got married. And then, yeah, love you. I know your birthday and our anniversary. Yeah, so we've been married almost 20 years. This next summer is going to be 20 years married. So
How does that feel? How, can you tell me about your these 20-year young of 20 years of journey?
I feel like I got married yesterday. Like, yeah, it's great. There, not everything's been perfect, but I've been really thankful that I've had a wife and a family that's been very supportive of me in ministry. My wife has no common sense. She married me. That's the first negative thing. But she understands the ministry too. Her family's involved in ministry. My family's involved in ministry, so she understood what it took to walk faithfully, and just try to do some good in the world through our churches and through our faith communities. So that's been great. And we've lived in Indiana the whole time. My wife's from the Caribbean, so we go down and visit when we can. Like I said, she's got no sense. She likes being up here in the snow and the cold, and I like it too. So, but we were thankful to be able to be here, and just yeah, keep moving forward.
So you mentioned your wife is from the Caribbean. Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
How is that like? There is a difference in cultures.
Mm-hmm.
How was that a challenge? Was there an asset? Can you tell me more about that?
A little bit. Melissa's from the Cayman Islands. It's a British Commonwealth, so the language was the same. We met here in Indiana. She was doing her graduate work at Ball State. I was finishing up my undergrad work. So, not a lot of differences culturally. I've learned how to make like rice and beans and barbecue chicken and things like that for Melissa, so she doesn't feel quite so homesick. But honestly, our cultures are very similar. She's from a big family where her grandma was kind of the head of the family. I'm from a big family where my grandma was kind of the head of the family. So right away, we had a lot of similarities because of that. And so, there's always some cultural differences. It's a little colder here, so having to, learn how to shovel snow, it was not new for me, but, new for her. And but yeah, after 20 years, she's actually lived in Indiana longer than she's lived in the Cayman Islands. So,
Goodness.
yeah.
So you mentioned you learn how to cook rice and beans. What is your favorite food?
Oh, favorite food? I like simple stuff. I like things like rice and beans. My dad, he's an avid hunter. So on a rare occasion, I can get things like venison or wild goose and things like that. And I grew up eating that. So yeah, honestly, if I could get like some venison or some goose, maybe duck, something like that, and then like just mashed potatoes, some vegetables, peas or something like that, and yeah, I'm pretty simple when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And I understand that you are a hardcore gamer,
Yep,
like
yep.
an Eric. Can you tell us about that?
So I play card games, board games, tabletop role play games. I've done a lot of like theatrical stuff. I've done some LARPing and things like that. I play a lot of video games. We didn't talk about that earlier, but I play a lot of video games.
Again.
Stardew Valley. I really like Stardew Valley, which is funny. I grew up on a farm, and then in video games, I like to farm. So silly, but it's calming and it's cheaper than buying tickets to the game sometimes. So
Yeah,
it keeps me at home, and I like doing that kind of thing too. And I can do that with my family sometimes as well.
absolutely. And how does that, I understand that in Carmen they do board game. How does that weave into ministry for you?
Well, the neat thing about being able to do like a game night is that yeah, we're playing board games, but we're sharing our lives with each other. We talk to one another while we're playing these games, Hey, how's your week going? Oh, you've had a rough week. Tell me about it. Like, what's going on? And when you get to know people as a friend, it makes it easier to, support them and encourage them through ministry. A lot of people are just kind of expecting, well, you're being nice to me because you're the pastor. You're talking to me about these things because it's part of your job, or you're a Christian and you're trying to convert me or something. No, we want to know people for who they are, to know the challenges that they have, the struggles, but also the joys that they have going on, and just add some goodness to their life with no exception, like no expectations. We're not after anything. Um, Goodness is its own reward, and sharing lives with people is its own reward. So, yeah, just getting to know people, and people feel a little differently about the pastor when either they destroy him utterly in a board game, or he destroys them. That happens sometimes, and yeah, I have to be really good about being a good loser and a good winner, and being kind
It's
of
a more human way to interact, isn't
yeah,
it? Like,
yeah.
you kind of dismantle this corporate phase, and you kind of
Mm-hmm.
get into knowing people more genuine. And I understand you are also, or you used to be a dancer. can,
Yeah,
can you tell me?
that came
Tell
up
us
during
about
the
that.
during the retreat. Yeah, I used to, when I was younger, I did tap dancing and square dancing and clogging. So, and I did those things for a little less than 10 years, but I did it quite a bit. In my hometown, a lot of kids would go to the dance academy, and they'd learn how to do those things. So, yeah, so.
Were you competitive? How was.
Yeah, we did do some competitions. We used to do some kind of regional competitions, and often won trophies. I didn't do a lot of the competitions, but it was a lot of fun, and I liked the just getting good at something. And then I actually was able to use those things later when I was in high school. I did musicals and a little bit of dancing, a little bit of singing, that kind of thing. So.
So you like board games, you were a dancer. Is there anything else that, like that you have skills into or you are passionate about?
I don't spend as much time in nature as I'd like, but I help a lot with the 4-H program
Mm,
in our county. I used to teach outdoor skills, which was kind of like Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, but for 4-H. So teaching
mm.
kids how to put up a tent and dressing appropriately for going outside. How to start a fire, how to properly handle camping knives and things like that. So I'm passionate about that. One thing I do for the 4-H program in Hamilton County, where I live, I am the superintendent of architectural replicas and construction sets, which is a very fancy way of saying I do the Legos. We do the Lego competitions, and I help. We had something like 80 projects this past year, so lots of kids, lots of creativity. And I'm 43, but I like still playing with Legos,
Yeah,
whether it's with my
absolutely.
kid or helping out other kids and their families, and so yeah, so I'm pretty passionate about that.
So where would you like to see Quakerism in 10 years in the Midwest?
Oh wow. I'd love to see more little churches. I'm not even talking about the buildings, just like little faith communities, here and there. I'd love to see it a little bit more on college campuses. I really think that Quakerism is a young person's religion. Like George Fox,
Yeah.
he was 23 when he started doing all this stuff, and really starting to preach and teach and going about. Um, when I was in college, being a Quaker was really meaningful to me. It's still meaningful to me now, but it was so formational to what I was doing that I was able to take a lot of those things that I had learned when I was young and put them into practical experiences in my life. So I'd love to see more like friends' home meetings, special groups like we've got our gaming group. Maybe we do another Quaker gaming group, in another church, or some different things like that. I'd like to see us more unified, working more with other friends, communities. There's a lot of Quakers out there. We're not the only ones out there, and it'd just be nice to, reach out and see how we can work more with one another.
That's so great. And is there any favorite Caribbean um, cultural aspect? Like it can be food, it can be anything
Oh wow.
that you enjoyed so far, like being interacting with your wife.
Well, I'll be honest. Probably my favorite thing about hanging out in the Caribbean was like a family meal on a like a Saturday afternoon.
Mm,
My wife's grandma would just cook and cook and cook and cook.
good.
So like papaya cake or cassava cake. It's real thick, that kind of stuff. So I eat plenty of food. I'm not a big foodie, but and I just love the culture in general. So being able to see how people in different places go about their lives, like their everyday life. It's not always for me like the big cultural stuff. It's the little cultural stuff, like oh, their gas station. This is how they pump the gas, and this is you drive on this side of the road and not that side of the road, and just seeing those little parts of people's lives is always fascinating to me. So
Well, thank you, Ben, for this wonderful interview.
thanks for having me. Yeah, it's great.
And expect we're gonna upload this kind of series of videos once a month. Expect for the next one we're gonna have loads of people, and it will be lovely to know them more in a personal level. Thank you.